Good
Well,
morning.
good to see you, my friend.
How are you?
Doing all right. And the reason that we had you on is somewhat three or fourfold. And what I wanted to do was have an education for those who might know about soccer in the streets, but not necessarily know everything about soccer in the streets. I wanted to have folks have an education about that, how it has grown, what it's like for you to be the executive director, what it's like to see it continue to grow, all these kinds of things. But there's something else coming up. And I believe that friend of the show, Ricky Bevington, might be a part of it. And we will discuss that as well. So, what I will do, that is the itinerary. Where would you like to start? Would you like to start talking about soccer in the streets, or do you want to hit folks really hard with footy ball coming out of the blocks? Your call.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The first thing I want to talk about is Kickoff Coffee. I feel like I should have put on my Kickoff Coffee shirt, So that's a brand that was started, I think, by Melissa Ortiz. I think she's one of the, former Colombian national team players. I'm Colombian. My family's from Colombia. And so yeah, I just think it's an amazing brand. I love what they're doing. So when I saw you pop it up, I was like, wait a second. I got one of their t-shirts for sure. So, and yeah, people ask me about it all the time. So it's really cool, actually. So.
All right, so your call. You want to
Yeah,
talk? You want to talk about soccer in the streets, or do you want to let folks know about what's going on this weekend?
let's talk about soccer in the streets because there's just been so much cool stuff happening. The momentum, the potential, what we're doing, how we're impacting Atlanta, and kind of being in this role, John. One of the things that I've seen is just how community partners, corporations, organizations have just really fully embraced what we're doing to bring the beautiful game to children for free in Atlanta. So yeah, I mean, I kind of started as executive director earlier this year. So January, came from an organization down in Thomasville, Georgia, so way down south, and honestly, this is a dream job for me. It's this perfect intersection of professional passions, so advocating for youth, giving children access. I have a background in public health. We've been very intentional about focusing on physical and mental well-being and that intersection there. And, so that kind of thing. And then personal passions, the beautiful game, being from Colombia, playing, growing up, I have children that play, I've coached, I've played, I've refed, still play as long as my knees hold up, just really enjoy it. And just seeing what soccer in the streets has been able to build, especially over the last 5 or 6 years, has been amazing to witness. So, founded in 1989, believe it or not. So I think that's something that people don't necessarily realize. But so we'll be 35 years old next year, which is kind of crazy to believe. And obviously bringing access, right? So free soccer to communities across Atlanta. And one of our biggest initiatives has been our station soccer program. And so just this past Friday, we had this amazing launch of our sixth station soccer, which was Eastlake, and our boy Jason Longshore emceeing the event. It was fantastic to see him there. And we just had these incredible partners. The city of Atlanta was there. Amazon hosted. MARTA doing their thing. Georgia Power, who donated the lights, these amazing LED lights that are just going to be fantastic. And so it's just incredible to kind of bring these people together. On top of that, Senator John Ossoff was there, and he actually helped push through a $1 million appropriations bill to support soccer in the streets here in Atlanta. So it's just been incredible to see how that's worked. Every time we open up one of these stations, John, it's like 250 kids, boom, into that space. And, the crazy thing is, honestly, I said this on Friday, it's been amazing. I get chills thinking about it. It's been amazing to see the transformation of a space from parking lot to a football pitch to two football pitches. And you think about that. And, I've spoken to people in the neighborhood and they were like, nobody used that side of the parking lot anyways. I'm so glad you guys are here. You know what I mean? We were told by people that there were kids getting up to play soccer at 6 in the morning before like the nets were up, and so as soon as they saw that turf, John, they were out there kicking the ball. Till 10:30 at night, it's incredible. So that just tells you, for me, obviously it warms my heart and just fills me up that like we're creating spaces for children and adults to play. So that's kind of the cool thing too, is that like, we talk about access for children and free access, but the cool thing is that there's also adult leagues that are happening. So when our kids stop practicing at like 8 or 8:30, At 9 o'clock, there are adults stepping onto that pitch to play adult pickup 5v5, and that's my game. I can't play 11s anymore, John, but I can do 5v5 pickup. So it's just been incredible to kind of see how we're impacting close to 1,500 kids a year on the station soccer pitches, in schools, in parks, and we're creating these safe spaces for community, right? And that's the really cool thing. It's like this was a dilapidated part of a parking lot that's now been converted into green space, and there'll be gardens there, and there'll be kids there, and families and grandparents, and it's just really cool. We consider ourselves very fortunate that this is what we get to call our job, for sure.
First question for you, coming from Thomasville, Bulldogs or Yellow Jackets?
Bulldog. So my wife is a Bulldog. So she went to Thomasville High School. Great question. I love it. She's a Bulldog. And then we met at the University of Georgia. So it was like a no-brainer. So we're Bulldogs through and through.
Okay, because, as one of the other me's, I know what goes on, and I know what Friday nights mean there in Thomasville, especially come War of the Roses time.
Yes.
But what we've also seen in Thomasville, especially with Thomasville High the last couple of seasons, is growth on the high school soccer side, where they're making deep runs into the playoffs. And it's really cool that we got to see on the high school side. What's it been like for you to come from Thomasville, where sport is growing, and bringing that, that energy and enthusiasm up here to Atlanta to be a part of something? What was it like for you to see how things are growing down there off of Georgia 300 and coming north here to Atlanta to take over?
I love the love for South Georgia. I love it. Yeah. So, Coach Peterson down there has done an incredible job building a fantastic team down there. And like you said, they've had some great runs into the playoffs. They won a state championship a few years ago. And so, obviously, like I said to you, I play quite a bit. And so there was a regular pickup game that I was playing in down in Thomasville a couple days a week. And, there was about 15 guys or so, right? So pretty small. And then you come to Atlanta and it's just another level. And so the energy, the hype, I mean, I don't think that I really knew how much of a soccer city Atlanta was, John. You know what I mean? I've kind of heard that a little bit, but then kind of being here, kind of seeing the space and the supporters groups and, being able to attend more Atlanta United games. I mean, my favorite person to go to an Atlanta United game is my 11-year-old daughter. She is the best cheerleader. She is like, let's go. Come on, Almada. You know what I mean? And she's just like, she loves the energy. She brings the energy. She loves the energy in the stadium. And so that's been really cool to kind of be a part of that and kind of grow my own kind of like appreciation for Atlanta as a soccer town. But again, it's young kids, it's high school kids, it's adults. I mean, this town is just like, they have a hunger for these spaces. And so for me, it's like amazing that we get to create these spaces for children and adults to play the beautiful game. You know what I mean? I grew up in Columbus is where I grew up. And, I played growing up there. And then my wife and I, after UGA, spent 8 years in New York City. So I played a lot of soccer in New York City too. And that was really amazing to kind of see that. And then when we went to South Georgia, it was a little bit of like, obviously, just not quite, you didn't just see enough of it for me. And so, it's great to kind of see it kind of growing all over the city. And that's what's great about, Atlanta United and the foundation there and the Blank Foundation. They've got that Georgia 100 initiative where they're building these pitches all across the state. I think one of the things that we've seen, and when we talk about this, is this idea of hardware versus software, right? So you can build a pitch, but you have to have the software. You got to have the people to actually program on those pitches. And so I think that's one of the things that's really important for us kind of moving forward is how we at Soccer in the Streets can continue to kind of train coaches, identify partners in other parts of the state that can potentially raise the profile of the game. Because, one of the things that I've heard as far as World Cup 2026 is that that's not just for the city of Atlanta. They really wanted to be Georgia's World Cup as well. How does it impact the entire state and kind of raise the profile?
Did Elijah hit a button? I think he might have hit a button. We were just talking with Elijah Miranda with Soccer in the Streets. There he goes.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So we're catching up on Soccer in the Streets. Is that one of the bigger challenges that Soccer in the Streets has, you think, when it comes to its continued growth from what you've been able to see in your time as executive director, is just the hardware versus software discussion and making sure that there's the impact can be made and can be made consistently?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously conversations that we have is obviously around, capacity, right? And, whenever we talk to people about soccer in the streets, I tell everyone our coaches are our secret sauce because, we're not necessarily looking for the next Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, or Sir Alex Ferguson, right? We're not looking for that, but, that person that wants to, again, be an advocate for a child, be that supportive adult in their lives because again my mental like the background that I have kind of in the mental health space and behavioral health space, we know that children that have experienced trauma or other forms of adversity in their lives, when they have one supportive adult in their life, John, it can make such a tremendous impact. And that can be a teacher, that could be a grandparent, that could be a parent, but that can also oftentimes it can be a coach who's just there to be supportive and who really kind of interacts and just understands the child because one of the things that we talk about is right. So maybe when we were growing up, if you were having a bad day at practice, your coach might be like, all right, go run 3 laps, right? Now, when we look at things that how maybe impact how children kind of deal with impact or adversity these days, we think about what did that child go through today, right? So that really kind of trauma-informed lens that we're thinking about, what did that child experience today? Because, soccer in the streets, we intentionally focus on neighborhoods that have fewer resources, that are underserved, to bring these resources to kind of equal the playing field when it comes to coming up against models that are like that kind of pay-to-play model that exists.
All right. Some of our folks in the Twitch pitch with some comments this morning. Our buddy Alex Bassine says the new shirt sales proceeds for a Sheffield Sunday donated to Soccer in the Streets, just like last time. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Sheffield Sunday. Kefsey is actually on the train going by some of the pitches. He said loves it right now and it looks good. And question from our buddy Tafka. And Tafka, the artist formerly known as the Prince of Soccer, thus Tafka. Question. Are there any plans in the works for some kind of showcase to the world when World Cup 26 gets here? Legends tournament, something? Tafka wants the world to see a one-of-a-kind transit-linked urban soccer system.
I feel like this guy's been sitting in our meetings, man. That's yeah. So we've had some really, really cool conversations. We've had conversations with the Atlanta Sports Council. There are some really cool ideas currently that we're just kind of marinating and trying to figure out. Obviously what's really, really cool are the other potential world-class events that are coming to the Bends, right, that we can be a part of. So this past summer, we had the Premier League here, and they did a showcase with our children, and so they got to meet Miguel Almiron. Maybe some of them, it wasn't the first time, so Miguel Almiron came by the pitch. So Newcastle came by. They got to receive training, not just for our kids, but also for our coaches from Aston Villa, from Brighton and Newcastle coaches. So it was really, really a cool experience. And then the last day was them actually getting to meet some of these players and have like a Q&A with them, which was really kind of neat. And then go watch a game, which was just these, those are the kinds of experiences that we want to create for the children that we serve across Atlanta. So as far as the World Cup, John, oh man, we've talked about this idea about how cool it would be to kind of use our stations, and what if we turn them into nations, right? So imagine the countries that we're hosting here in Atlanta, right? Think about the group stage matches. Imagine, if one of them was, Senegal or Morocco or Holland or Colombia, right? You know what I mean? If you turned a station into Colombia and there was Colombian music and Colombian food, maybe you had a Colombian legend or two. My dream would be to have El Pibe Valderrama, right? That would be my dream, is to have Valderrama, right, with the hair. He still got it too. I follow him on yeah, he's not letting it go. He's still holding on to it. I follow him on IG and I love his content. To have him at one of our stations, for our kids to meet them. I mean, during the summer, Navi Solano, the Newcastle legend, right? So from Peru, we had a Peruvian family, and they were in awe. They got to meet. I mean, they got to meet someone who's a captain of the national team. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. I mean, that family probably took 25 or 30 pictures with Navi Solano, and they were just grinning from ear to ear. So if we think about that, I feel like that's a really cool experience. I mean, the potential, there's so much potential out there, John, for sure.
All right. So last thing I wanted to catch up with you about is not this Friday, but next Friday on the 10th. Folks might need to dress a little warmly, but Footy Ball. 2023, presented by Atlanta United at the Monday Night Garage over on Lee Street from 7 to 11. And it's food and drink and hanging out with your friends. Goat Rodeo is going to be there for music. Gates open at 7 o'clock. Break it all down for folks that haven't heard, was like, oh, no, I've got to go. I've got to figure this out. I've got to put this on my calendar. What's going on?
Absolutely, yeah. So this is our big kind of annual gala. It's a little bit more toned down, so not too stuffy. So Monday Night Garage, so kind of a cool vibe. So we love the venue. Excited! It's our first time being at this venue. It's going to be a lot of fun. So great music, great drinks, live music. Now I will tell you there are some really really cool auction items this year. So there's a Jamaican vacation. That's going to be pretty amazing. I actually won this auction last year and got to spend a week in Jamaica. It was amazing. It was fantastic. We also have some signed gear from Miles Robinson. So we actually have an Atlanta United signed kit and a U.S. men's national team signed kit by Miles Robinson, which is really cool. And so this is for the other football fans. Believe it or not, we actually have 4 owner suite seats to the SEC championship. These are tickets that you cannot buy. This is like an invitation only. So we have these that we're gonna be auctioning them off, which is a really amazing opportunity for those SEC, hopefully UGA fans out there. It'll be us playing in that SEC championship. But the Footy Ball, I mean, I was able to attend last year. It was my first one last year. Such a good time. Again, just great energy. A lot of soccer people. Love the vibe. I mean, helping us raise money for Soccer in the Streets as we continue to grow and offer programming to children all across Atlanta. We're at 6 stations. 2024, John. Woof, man. We're gonna add a 7th. The goal is to get to 10 by 2026.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things where there's just so much momentum for the game, and obviously, I mean, we haven't even talked about U.S. Soccer and their decision to make Atlanta their headquarters, and how that definitely is something that we are going to be a part of as well. They've reached out to us. We've already begun to have conversations, and so it's just really exciting. Again, I mean, if you can't tell how energetic I am about being in this role, John, then I'm doing my job wrong. So, but it's just a pleasure that I get to do this. And again, I just want to say thank you again to Jason for emceeing and all the support across Atlanta for sure.
Elijah Miranda from Soccer in the Streets. My friend, great to have you on to break everything down for Footy Ball and what's going on with Soccer in the Streets. Thanks for the education this morning, and may you shatter every record known to mankind, not this Friday, but next Friday, November 10, for Footy Ball 2023. Thanks for hanging out with us here on SDH. We'll catch up soon, my friend.
Thanks, John. Have a good one.